passwords stolen. 183 million Gmail passwords. Americans, a massive breach. So if you have a Gmail password, it might be time to change it. Leaked data of 183 million Gmail users. Email addresses, passwords, and the websites they were entered into. We are. Hey everybody, welcome back. I was just looking at a story that showed that 150 million Gmail passwords have been compromised, so you might want to think about changing your Gmail password. So today what we're doing is the first round of arguments. So we're going to have as many as we can get in today, and we're starting from the bottom of the list and going up this time instead of starting from the top and going down. Caden, you made it.
What's up?
Everything's all right. But I want to tell you, you should stay off your phone.
Okay.
People are commenting on it now.
Okay.
Because they see you right in front of the class and there you're sitting on the phone. So I would just cancel that from now on. Alyssa's not here, so we can pick on her since she's not here. She's probably watching. But I know she watches on like low light underneath her desk, right? So that's like not quite as intrusive as just leaning on your desk, absorbing your phone. So, okay, well, enough of all that. Welcome back. Boy, we're just cruising through. It's week 10. Week 10. The next week will be November. And then we have 3 weeks and it's Thanksgiving. And then we come back and just do 1 week and we're out of here. So we are tumbling toward the end of this class. But nobody's cried yet, so it's not really over. No, the semester's never over until somebody cries. And hopefully it doesn't happen in class. Usually happens in my office. But I hope that's none of you, including you, Caden. No crying, okay? If you want to cry, you can come to my office and we'll let you cry there. Bailey, you're going to go first for us today. Get me off of this thing. Let's bring you up here and start talking. So today, for those of you watching at home, we're doing our persuasive speeches today. These are the trial runs to see how it looks, to get some feedback for you and send you home with some actionable information to make them better.
Imagine a world without medicine, cosmetics, or cleaning products. These things help humans in so many ways, but they all come at a cost. Millions of animals are used for testing yearly, and some live, some die, but they all suffer unimaginable pain. Every day, many people benefit from the scientific discoveries made through experimentation, yet very few stop to think about the suffering that makes it possible. Hello, my name is Bailey, and I'm here to talk to you about why animal testing isn't ethical. I've seen and helped dogs that were used in animal testing and have seen the negative and traumatizing effects it can have on them. Today, I will explain why animal testing causes unnecessary suffering, how alternatives can replace it, and how science can continue to thrive without it. First, animal testing causes unnecessary suffering. Animals experience pain, fear, and stress just like we do, yet millions are forced to go through painful and invasive procedures every year. Many are chemically burned, poisoned, or genetically altered, and most are killed after the experiments end. Supporters often argue that these tests are conducted humanely, but in reality, pain relief is not always provided, and animals have no way to consent. Imagine if we applied the same logic to humans, saying that causing pain is acceptable as long as it helps others. The suffering of animals cannot be justified by labeling it necessary. In many cases, it is simply the easiest path, not the most ethical option. Second, there are humane and reliable alternatives that can replace animal testing. Modern technology has given us advanced options such as computer simulations, tissue cultures, and 3D human cell models. These methods can often predict human reactions more accurately than animal experiments can. In fact, many studies show that over 90% of drugs that pass animal trials fail in human clinical testing. This means that animal biology is not a perfect substitute for human biology. These experiments are both cruel and unreliable. Continuing them makes little ethical or scientific sense. Some may argue that animal testing is still necessary to ensure safety before human trials. However, the truth is that newer technologies already allow scientists to test chemicals, drugs, and treatments using human-based systems without risking lives. These methods are not only more humane, they are faster, cheaper, and more accurate. How can science continue to thrive without animal testing? Well, that's simple. Science has always been about innovation and finding better, smarter, and more ethical ways to solve problems. The idea that progress depends on animal testing is outdated. In reality, science can continue to thrive and even advance faster through modern technology that replaces the need for animal models. True progress means developing cures and maintaining compassion. The greatest scientific advances should not come from suffering, they should come from creativity, innovation, and respect for all life. When we use empathy, the discoveries become not only powerful, but humane. In the end, using animals in scientific research is not ethical. It inflicts unnecessary suffering on creatures who cannot consent, ignores advanced human alternatives, and science can still thrive without it. Science should improve life, not destroy it. We have the power to support cruelty-free products and speak out against needless animal suffering. When we choose kindness, we don't slow down progress, we redefine it. The future of science depends not only on how much we can take from others, but on how wisely and compassionately we choose to move forward. Are there any questions?
Yes. Tell me about some of the sources from which the facts came from that you use to both support your argument as well as rebut your argument.
Okay, so I wasn't here for that one day that, you gave out like the list, so I didn't know if I should include the sources in there, but I took them out, so I don't really remember exactly right now, but I can put them back in. Okay,
that's perfect. Then that lines up with what I'm going to get you to do for the next one.
Okay.
Which is, after every major point, when you did provide some statements for us that sounded like they came from elsewhere as a research fact, but you want to be able to say, according to PETA, this, or according to scientific research at this institution, it says this, or so you want to preface that fact with not a whole long-winded, this author in this publication wrote in 1985, blah, 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 but you at least want to credit where that came from. So do that.
Okay.
But going back to the good, all really solid. Your volume is good, posture's good up there. I like the use of your hands. You're moving your hands around. I like that. Occasionally you'll lock in and get a little ringy, so try and avoid that.
Okay.
But try and keep it that way is good. Keeping your two fingertips together, that's always good.
Okay.
But if you get too hand ringy or too close, that kind of messes up your visual.
Right.
Aside from that, I thought you had a good thesis. Personal investment was good. I like your opposite side, but I want the source for that as well.
Okay.
As you practice it more, really the only thing that's going to make your presentation better is talking more than reading.
Okay.
You're reading, I'd say 70% of the time, and looking at us the other 30% of the time. You want that to flip around.
Okay.
Now, I know you have a lot of technical data in there that you have to read.
Yes.
But try and adjust that ratio.
Okay.
And I think you'll be good.
Okay,
solid. Let's give Bailey a hand. Yay. Chia, you're next. You're already heading up there. Okay, so this is the practice one. Chia. Okay.
Okay. So, how does it feel? No, actually, how TikTok can sometimes be a good source and a bad source for the internet? I feel like TikTok. Sorry, guys. Let me restart. How can TikTok be a good source for the internet or a bad source, or if you can find information on there, good or bad? I feel like TikTok on there is really good for dance challenges and life hacks and everything, but there are like cons and pros to finding informations and everything on there, especially with how fast information can spread on there. There's a lot of like AI and stuff that can a lot of deepfakes, it could be made. According to the 2024 Pew Research Center study, there is study found that a lot of young users have come across misleading or just false information on TikTok. Kind of like I feel like especially with the AI versus real stuff right now, especially with the mukbangs. I don't know if you guys seen those videos going around. It's like a test. It's like telling you whether it's real or not. And also, anything that goes viral, it can cause a lot of like misinformation, especially if you don't know it's real or not. But for the pros, you can there of course information can spread fast, so it makes it easier for information to go through and help people, especially with creativity and everything, and sharing a story and giving a voice. It's also a tool for great social movement and awareness, kind of like in 2020 there was the Black Lives Matter movement that was online, and especially with everyone posting the protests and everything like that, it was a great help for sharing a voice and everything to let everybody that was in there online. And yeah, it was a great way for everyone to share their experience and find a global audience really fast. But in conclusion, we should all be careful on what we use. There isn't like a no yes to this. It's more like you just gotta be careful with what you use on there, and you just gotta be careful with what you see, and you just gotta like watch out for it and have good critical thinking. So yeah.
And any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I have some. How long have you been watching TikTok?
For 4 years.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing that you want to throw in there right at the beginning, your personal investment. I've been watching TikTok for 4 years. And during that time, I've seen some really fun things, but I've also seen some disturbing things, or things that I didn't even know if they were real. So that led me to question whether or not TikTok is good or bad. But in the persuasive style of speaking, you're trying to convince us of something. So you don't want to leave it up to us to decide whether it's good or bad. You're going to tell us if it's good or bad. Now, what you've said is there are some good, there's some bad. So perhaps that's the argument. Enjoy TikTok, but be careful of X, Y, and Z. Because when you get to the end, you can't really make a rebuttal to something you haven't taken a position on. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say. And then maybe a little more data about TikTok. Like, why is it such a big deal anyway? How did it get to be perhaps the most popular app in the world today with as many users as it has? So something along those lines, it gives us a little more foundation of what it is. But I would say on the positive, you are addressing us all well, and you're looking around the room at us, so that's good. But I want this to be a little more organized and definitely take a stand. Like, make a point. You brought some good things up, but I want you to really persuade us that we should really be cautious about TikTok, or we shouldn't watch it at all, or we should watch it and embrace it and use it for all the things that it's worth. Okay? Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Kim? No? Okay. Well, nobody has any questions? Thank you very much. Good job. And I think that's a little part there missing, your call to action. So you want to tell us something at the end to do. Okay? So let's see, who's up next? Oh, it's Kim. What do you know? Oh, soccer, you just know you're next. Let's see what's going to happen here. Bailiff. See if I can make it too. Yeah.
For a long time, zoos have been places where family and go to see animals and learn about them. I understand why it feels exciting and educational, but if we really care about animals, we have to ask ourselves, are we helping them or are we just trapping them for our own entertainment? Zoos should convert into different types of wildlife management areas like natural reserve, where animals can live freely in their natural environment instead of being kept into a small cage or glass enclosures. It gives animals space, protect endangered species in the right way and still allow people to learn, but in a more human and respectful way. First, captivity often causes stress and suffering. For example, dolphins are intelligent and sentient creatures. They are capable of feeling emotion like joy, love, and amusement, but in water park, they often train to do some trick for human entertainment, not because they want to, but because they thought that performing means they get food, and their tanks are a thousand of times smaller than their ocean, and many species show the sign of depression, and they even damage their teeth because they chew the tank walls to escape. So, but even the best design zoos cannot replicate the complexity of the natural habitat, like the social structures are the freedom that defines natural life. That's why natural reserves are better alternatives. They allow people to live in habitats. Sorry. They allow animals to live in habitats similar to their own, where they can hunt, socialize, and reproduce naturally. In this environment, animals don't need to perform or entertain. Second, many zoos claim to support conservation, but the data shows their impact is often limited. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that zoos contributed animals to only about 14% of all conservation just location programs, and only 25% of the bred animals were actually released into the wild. In other words, most zoo breeding programs had little success in releasing animals into the wildlife. Natural reserves, in the other hand, directly protects animals in their native habitats. Reserves in countries like Kenya or South Africa have helped recover endangered species like rhinos and elephants by giving them a space to live naturally. Unlike cages, reserves allow real ecosystems like predators, prey, vegetation, and migration to grow together. Another important point is education. Many people say that zoos help us to learn more about animals, but what we really learn is how they behave in cages, not in nature. In natural reserves or national park, visitors still can see animals, but from safe distances, while those animals live naturally and freely. We can witness their behavior, interactions, and instinct in their natural habitats. In the end, if we really care about the wildlife, we need to move forward. Zoos should convert into different types of wildlife management areas where animals can live freely and people can still learn about animals. Next time, if you plan to a family trip, choose to visit a national park instead of zoos, because protecting animals shouldn't mean trapping them, but should mean giving them back to their freedom. Any question?
I don't have any questions, but I think the statement that you said, how in zoos we learn how they behave in cages, not in nature, is a really powerful statement. And so I think that was really good. I like that the structure of this, the families like to go to zoos, but are we really helping or harming animals? I was missing your personal investment though. You didn't say why this matters to you. Do you have any story about going to a zoo? Have you ever been to a zoo?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you start.
Yeah.
You know, I went to a zoo one time, and I saw this lemur I don't know why I picked the lemur, but I saw a lemur in a cage, and it really just kind of bothered me that the lemur was stuck in this cage and not outliving where lemurs live. So I started thinking about it more, and now I think that zoos should be, whatever. So you're missing that little personal investment. So you might throw something like that in there. I thought your thesis was solid. We shouldn't keep animals in zoos because A, B, and C. I like that you brought in some reputable facts. You had an opposite side, and then you rebutted that opposite side. You had a restatement of your thesis, and then you said zoos need to convert into a different kind of wildlife management area or practice. So I thought the structure was good. Here's something I want to compliment you on even more, though. You are louder than you have been all semester. So I think in your head you told yourself, I need to be louder. So you were louder. So that was good. And also, because English is your second language, you're taking your time, but your pacing is much better now. You're taking your time with your words, delivering them out really well, so you're doing a good job there as well. So just keep on going, but let's get that personal statement in there for the next time around. Okay? All right, let's give her a hand. Yay! And Corey's not here, so Elena is next. And then Cooper's not here either. So Kelsey, you'll be going today. How are we doing on time? Kate, I saw you bring some paper. Are you ready to talk today?
No.
Okay, well, we might make you talk anyway. Otherwise, you're listening to me. Keep thinking about it. I'm just picking on you a little bit. Okay, Elena, take off.
So everyday students face pressures that it didn't even exist a generation ago. We are constantly connected, social media, school emails, assignments, notifications, all happening as one. And while our parents often say, "You will be fine, I went through it too," the truth is the challenges we face today are not the same as theirs. That's why I want to talk about the importance of mental health support for students and why it should be treated as a top priority, just like physical health. The number of young people dealing with depression and anxiety has increased significantly in recent years. According to CDC, about 42 students report feeling persistently sad or hopeless. If we continue to ignore this problem, students will keep struggling silently, losing motivation, dropping grades, and sometimes losing hope altogether. I have personally experienced how the pressure and stress can affect my focus and motivation between school, expectation, and constant comparison on social media. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. Learning to take care of my mental health and realizing it's okay to ask for help has taught me how important emotional well-being truly is for students like me. Some people, especially from older generation, believe that mental health isn't something we need to talk about so much. They say things like, "It's just a phase," or "We all went through stress in school, you will be fine." They think students today are too sensitive, or that stress is just a part of growing up. But our world today is completely different. Students now face new kinds of pressure: social media, peer pressure, financial stress, online expectation, academic competition, and even the rapid growth of AI and technology that can make us feel like we have to keep up. Telling students to just get over it doesn't work anymore. Instead, talking to counselors, joining support program, or even going to therapy helps students learn healthy way to manage stress. That's why school and students must treat mental health as top priority by increasing awareness, reducing stigma, and using the support system already available to us. Right there at Rogers State University, we already have amazing programs designed to help students with mental health and wellness. The P2P peer-to-peer mentoring program run by students in Master of Science in Community Counseling program connects students with trained mentors who can provide academic, emotional, and personal support. The Center for Wellness and Prevention also offers resources like the Wednesday Working Group, food and hygiene pantries, and connection to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. These programs remind us that no one has to face their struggles alone. So if you or someone you know is feeling overwhelmed, please reach out, email the peer mentoring program at peermentoring@student.rsu.edu or stop by Bearhorn Room 201 to talk with a mentor. So you can also contact the Center for Wellness and Prevention or call 988 anytime for immediate support. Let's normalize talking about mental health, checking it on one another, and using the helps that's already here for us. Mental health isn't something to hide or be ashamed of. It's something to take care of, just like our bodies. When we support each other and make use of the resources our campus provide, we create a stronger, healthier community. A healthy mind is not just a key to success in school, it's a foundation for happy, meaningful life. Any questions?
No questions? Really good, Elena, all the way around. I thought it was structured well. Our mental health is what's at stake. Of course, you're a college student, so you have this personal investment, but you also mentioned how pressure has impacted you. I thought that was good. I liked your use of facts. And I was trying to get to your opposite side, and I think that's where you were saying parents. Parents say you'll be fine. We made it through, it's just a phase, you can survive it. And then you came back against that, with students have new types of pressures. And then all of your information about the mental health help availabilities here on campus, I thought that was really good. You're using your hands well. You're looking at us a lot. You're very confident up there. So I just think you're doing a really good job. This is what I like, is that first week, first 2 or 3 speeches, everybody's just trying to figure out what you're doing. But you're getting stronger as you're going, and so that's good. So really, your improvement the next time around will just be speaking more than reading. That's really where you are now, is getting to that point where you know your information, it's all well organized, you're presenting well, you just need to talk to us a little bit more than you read to us. But outside of that, you're doing really well. So, good job. Let's give her a hand. Hey, it's tough. And I'll tell you what, it's brave to be second language speaker and get up there. Go ahead. You're up. No, Sir Kelsey. Be a second language speaker. No, it's fine. And to get up there in front of everybody on television and do it, it's challenging. So I think that you both do a good job.
Too many students are losing their chance at higher education because financial aid is both difficult to navigate and also you have to meet a narrow, unrealistic eligibility standard to be able to get it. Hi, my name is Kelsey, and I'm here to talk about how financial aid should be easier access for all college students. Financial aid is money provided to college students to help pay for tuition, books, housing, and other fees as well. It typically comes from 4 different sources: federal or state government, colleges, or private organizations. Financial aid includes grants, scholarships, it includes work studies, and also loans as well. We as college students know that college can be very expensive, and we know that also with the times changing and everything, it will probably continue to get more expensive over time. Financial aid makes the potential higher education possible for a lot of people who can't afford it, but not all people. And so financial aid should be made simpler and more inclusive so that no student is denied education because of confusing paperwork and unfair eligibility rules. Not only am I a college student, so I know how expensive college can be, but I also work in the admissions office here at Rogers State, where I see people come in all day long trying to get the help and support from financial aid that they need. My 3 main points today are how current financial aid systems discourage qualified students, simplifying eligibility and applications increases equity and enrollment, and there are some practical reforms that could be put into place to fix this system. The main problem with our current financial aid system is that there are many barriers preventing students the help that they need. Involving qualification and complexity, it ends up turning people away. There is an overly complicated application forms like FAFSA that take up a lot of time and energy and can end up leaving people more confused and unaware than when they started. They may not know what next steps to take. There was an article on Gallup News discussing that how 25% of adult students have difficulty trying to apply for FAFSA. That's 1/4 of the students here. There are also many students who are unable to apply or be eligible for these because of financial income from their parents, when they might not even be getting help from the parents at all. So they have to provide out of pocket. They don't take into consideration that the students may not be getting any help from their family members, and these barriers can put on financial aid can end up turning away qualified first-generation students and leaving them with lost opportunities and more debt. Simplifying the process of application and eligibility for financial aid is important because it allows for more students to be able to come get an education. If students are denied that aid, they may postpone or even abandon their goal of getting a degree altogether. Families with limited resources would struggle navigating application websites and paperwork, resulting in less students filling them out in time or even trying at all. The Brookings article, Improving College Access Through Financial Aid Transparency and FAFSA Simplification, shares how even after submitting the form for FAFSA, you have to have a verification that could take a lot of time that could end up pushing your deadline back and missing it and not being able to get the help that you may need. So making this process simpler and faster and more available for students should be our top priority so we can get the students the help that they need. To practically make a difference in these situations, steps need to be taken. FAFSA forms could be simpler and faster to fill out to be able to meet the deadlines and make it less complicated. And instead of having to remember to find all your tax information, they could use existing information from the IRS to save you the time and effort and the errors that you could make while trying to gather all of that information. The eligibility criteria could be broadened to see more than just family income, but family circumstances and student circumstances altogether. They could also provide more options for part-time and non-traditional students. And also outreach programs could be put into place with high schools to better prepare students and parents for whenever they join into college, and so that way they will have all the resources they need, so that way they won't be lost whenever they get in trying to figure out how to sign up for all these forms, applications, and financial aid. The counter argument for this topic would be simplifying the financial aid system could lead to misuse and overspending. Some critics argue that loosening eligibility and simplifying FAFSA could lead to fraud or mistakes, since the automatically taking the tax reports from the IRS could lead to fraud from the families not taking the whole financial picture and just picking and choosing. Critics also say that this could lead to increased government spending and reduce accountability. Money could go from people who maybe don't even need it and take it away from people who actually do. But overall, the benefits outweigh the risks. Despite all the things that could potentially be true, there are still so many eligible students who are qualified, but they do not have or receive the help that they need because the process is so complicated. It's an issue of access, not an issue of abuse. By simplifying the financial aid, more students would be able to get an education they otherwise could not have gotten. I encourage you to think about this topic from the perspective of a student who did not get their financial needs covered. Maybe that is you. Maybe it's not. And decide for yourself if simplifying the financial aid process would take a burden off of your back. if it would be a step in the right direction. My answer is yes. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I thought this was well organized. It's a very important topic. I think that there's clearly something at stake. Your personal investment, I thought, was also really good, that you work in that office. So I thought that was good. Your first line that you said, your introduction, what was the first thing you said to us?
The first thing I said, too many students are losing their chance at higher education because financial aid is both difficult to navigate and limited to those who meet narrow, unrealistic eligibility standards.
Okay, I think that that's really good. And what I'd like to see you do is the same thing I pretty much said to everybody else. Tell us that as opposed to reading it to us. Slow down a little bit. Give us a chance to absorb that because it's an important statement. It sets up your whole deal. So slow down, talk to us on that one. Outside of that, I thought it was well organized. I thought you were giving us your call to action, but really you were just doing another one of your outlined points. That might be something like Kim here did, which was, today I'm going to tell you about step 1, 2, 3 of why zoos aren't good for animals. So maybe something like that early on in your thesis might help us see where you're going with it. But I thought it was good. And then you went back to your opposite side and I was like, oh, okay, we're back here again. Fine, good to lead. It could lead to misuse. Then you rebutted that with the benefits outweighing the risk. So that was good. You restated your thesis. Solid. You've always been loud the whole semester, so you don't have a problem with volume. I would say I do like your hand motion. And that's something I didn't comment on Elena. I liked how you were using sort of power moves on your hands. So that was good. What you're doing is good too. However, you get a little 670 every now and then, okay? You're like kind of doing this back and forth. So either just one hand or don't distract us too much with your hands.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd say something along those lines.
Okay.
But aside from that, I thought it was really, one other thing. Say the word of the acronym, say the acronym for me. That starts with an F.
Oh, FAFSA?
Yeah, so a couple times you're like FAFSA.
Yeah, it's how I've grown up saying it, and so
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to say FAFSA,
Yeah,
but
so
I'm
there's
trying
a-
to train myself on that.
Okay, so there's an F in there, yeah,
Yeah.
so FAFSA.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, let's give her a hand. Way to go. Okay, David's not here, Hunter's not here. Nobody else is really prepared except Caden. Do you have anything prepared? You brought some paper in.
Yeah, I don't even know why I brought this. It's my high school form for my job.
Oh, so it didn't have anything to do with your talk. Okay. Well, who else is on the list here? Anybody else want to go talk to us? Bailey, Grace, Jesse? No?
I'm not as organized as I would like to be, but
Do you want to come talk to us? We have some time. We've got like 12 minutes,
Okay.
11 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to be me up there, and I'll take off.
Y'all have to forgive me, my voice is still wrecked from Haunting on the Hill. This
I've
one-
heard about this. Bailey was talking about this. You're screaming at people?
Yeah.
Are you a clown?
No, I was a medical floor. I was an asylum patient lunging at people,
Oh, you were an asylum patient?
screaming, "Help me!" And my voice is completely gone from that.
Oh, I just left college. Here you go, Kelsey.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Jesse, and today I'll be talking about generative AI and its negative consequences. I personally have a lot at stake as an artist, as a naturalist, as a potential future scientist, and I think y'all have a lot riding on this too, whether you realize it or not, because we are the next generation, and we're going to have to deal with this in our daily lives, whether we like it or not. Generative AI, despite its shiny and mystical appearance, is what I view as a bloated leech on society. And letting tech billionaires mystify it as such is denying the culpability in the problems it has caused, in the problems they have caused by creating it. I will cover its environmental, its neurological, and psychiatric impacts it has had on us, as well as common rebuttals. What is generative AI? Generative AI is any AI that is designed to produce or generate a new output based off a large swath of data that it has been trained on. Mainly images, text, like chatbots, for example. In the words of ChatGPT's website, ChatGPT does not copy and paste from its training data. When generating a response to a user request, the model uses these learned weights to predict and create new content. Another quote from ChatGPT directly from their website, there is an inherent element of randomness in how the model responds. And as a result, the same question may yield different answers across different queries. It is designed to create new content, which is often where a lot of the problems with it lie. It will do something that's called hallucinate data, where it's not lying to you because it's a computer program, it's not a person, but where it will misreport facts because it's not designed like a search browser. You don't ask it a question and it's not going to copy and paste directly from an article. It's going to generate a response, usually to try to mimic human speech or human dialogue, and that's where we get these issues, where it can hallucinate data or take the wrong data from an article that it is citing. For some of the environmental impacts, a really good case of this is a woman named Beverly Morris. She's from Mansfield, Georgia, and she lives 400 yards from one of Meta's largest data centers. Her water pressure is so low, she's not able to flush her toilet without filling it up with buckets of water. Not that it's even really drinkable either, because the data center is leaking sediments into her well water. And I would like to pull up this picture of, I'll have it in a PowerPoint next week, but I think it's just a really good picture. She lives 400 yards from this place, which is pretty huge distance, I could say. But this is what her house looks like at night. It's kind of hard to see because it's on my phone, but if you can see her doorway, they don't have to use a night light. They don't have to turn on any lights.
That's a bright light coming through the door.
Exactly.
Okay,
that is from the data center that is 400 yards away. It is so bright that that's her living room at night. She has to put up blinds and cover every window, every doorway in her house so she's able to sleep. There's a very good interview with her from Better Union, and the New York Times also did a separate interview with her, if any of y'all are curious. It's about 14 minutes long. It is a very good watch. As for the neurological impacts, it's kind of hard to tell. We've opened this Pandora's box of AI. It's still of generative AI, and it's still a relatively new field. So there's limited research into how it has affected us. But current studies are showing, or at least theorizing, that it could cause cognitive atrophy, where you are struggling to think for yourself pretty much because you're outsourcing your thinking to a program instead of thinking for yourself, using it for outlines, projects, essays, all sorts of stuff. And as for psychiatric impacts, do any of y'all remember that woman from TikTok who convinced herself her psychiatrist was in love with her? Like, she was very popular for a while, yeah. I'm seeing a few heads. Part of the reason she believed that is because she was asking ChatGPT to confirm her delusions, and she would call it the Oracle, and it sent her into a full-blown psychosis over it. And she is not the only case of this. It is when you can't take things at face value, when you're struggling to tell if something's real, especially if you're a mentally vulnerable person on social media, that puts you at risk. And like we've all experienced this generative AI, I think at least, of seeing something online and thinking, oh, that's crazy. And then you realize that's AI. Like the video of bunny rabbits like jumping on a trampoline, that was circulating for a while. That is sadly not real. But like everybody passed it around like it was real footage. And I'm sure you've had older relatives especially that have done this. I have. As for some of the rebuttals, some say that generative AI is beneficial, using the strength of many and pooling it as one resource. I beg to differ with how often it hallucinates data. It often makes more mistakes than humans do, and when it does make a mistake, a lot more is at stake. Some say generative AI gives disabled people the chance to make art that they are unable to. But there are many disabled artists who have overcame their struggles. And not even disabled artists, but many people, I don't have artistic skill. So they go to AI to generate something for them. When it's much more beneficial to practice for yourself or hire someone in that case.
Katie's got about another minute.
And some of the AI studies that are coming out on the neurological impacts say they improve productivity, but we're also seeing that cognitive decline. According to a Harvard study, 80% of people who used AI to generate passages for whether it was schoolwork, their PhD, any of that, were able to remember what it wrote because they didn't write it. They outsourced it to an AI. So what's the point in asking it? Because like if you're going to an institution to learn, or even worse, like you're using it to write like your thesis as a scientist, like what are you learning by asking this machine to think for you? And my call to action, I understand that AI, generative AI, is very pervasive in our lives. And I'm not asking you to completely get rid of it because it's kind of impossible at this point, but try to limit your use. Call your senators, let them know your point, whether you're for it or against it. Like, for example, we have a data center being built in Owasso that I have some very strong feelings on, but call your senators, call your representatives, let them know how you feel about that. And that is all I have for today. Any questions?
No, I do want you got to your thesis at the end though, and I want you to clear that up one way or the other when you get to your final. So AI should be used only under certain circumstances, or what's your real position on it? And just kind of clear that up. And I think you can do that. I like your overview of generative AI. I like that you brought in the data centers and their impact. I wanted you to bring in a study, and then you mentioned the Harvard study, so that was good. We always want to avoid the phrase "some say." So you don't want to be "some say." You want to say Harvard scientists say blah, 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 or whoever it really is says somebody. But I thought that this was a good, passionate speech. I think you're really personally invested, and I like that. I would just like you to clear up your thesis a little bit, and I think that'll organize the thing better all the way around. Okay? Just about 17 seconds left, so we're about finished. And I thought everybody did really well today. We talked about some important subjects, everything from TikTok to animals in zoos, animals in science, mental health pressures, TikTok, paying to get in school, our post-human, post-literate society, etc. See you Wednesday.